We've all heard of the terrible twos. And when I first had my son, I was kind of like, okay, we'll see. But around the time that my son turned two, there was a very noticeable shift in his behavior, both in a lot of really cute ways, but also in a lot of very frustrating ways. For about a month around the time that this behavior shift started happening, I felt like all I was trying to do every day was just keep my head above water. There were so many tantrums and tears, and the 2 or 3 techniques that usually worked for my son and I all of a sudden became really hit or miss. So today I thought I'd sit down with you and share 8 things that have helped me not deal with, but that have helped me help my toddler and myself in those frustrating, testy moments. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm Amber. I make videos about kind of crunchy motherhood, lifestyle, and if you like that sort of content, I'd love to see you around here more often. Just hit that little subscribe button down below. Jumping right into it, the first thing is to adjust my mindset and stay with me here. What I've noticed is that everything else that I'm about to share either works together and builds up from my mindset or completely unravels and falls apart from it. The 2-year-old phase has so lovingly been named the terrible twos, which I do sort of understand because without a doubt it can be challenging, but I think that name has come from a place of misunderstanding. As adults, we like to sarcastically say oh, it's so hard to be a toddler, but when you take a moment to think about it, from the second that they wake up till the second that they go to bed, they have someone else telling them what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, how long they're going to do it for, how they're going to do it. And I know that we kind of like to say that, well, it shouldn't matter or it shouldn't be frustrating for them because they're toddlers. They need someone else to tell them what they're going to do. But they're still human, and it's just human nature to not like to be told what to do all the time. When you combine that along with the fact that their scope of the world is just so small, so they might not have very much understanding for why we're telling them they need to do something or why we're telling them they can't do something. And actually, even in addition to that, the fact that their brains are not fully developed. So they quite literally don't have the ability to regulate their emotions when we say, you can't have that thing that you want. It actually does sound hard to be a little kid. It's the boundary setting phase, and I've read about this in multiple books. It just makes so much sense. This is also the phase where they're starting to get a small sense of independence. Both of those are good things. The only way to learn the boundaries is to test them out a little bit. And of course, this can be frustrating when I'm telling my son, don't do something, and he's telling me, no, I'm gonna do it. But shifting my mindset has helped me in those moments to realize he's probably not saying no to be difficult. He's probably just saying no because he's learning that he can voice what he does and doesn't want to do, which ultimately is something that I want him to learn. What all of this comes down to is adjusting your mindset and your thoughts from the terrible twos suck to, okay, this is the boundary setting phase, or why is he being so naughty, to, okay, this is frustrating, but he's learning about independence. That can make a huge difference in how you respond to those trying moments with your toddler. The second thing that has helped me a lot with my 2-year-old is to be playful. We all know that little kids love to play and they love games. When I noticed my son going through this little shift that I was talking about earlier, this was the first thing that I started doing differently in the way that I approached him during those tough moments. My son had become very against diaper changes. He just would panic the whole time, every time, and I felt like it didn't matter what I do, he just was not having it. I had just started reading the book, How to Talk So Little Kids Will Listen, and this was one of the first things that they suggested trying. So I started trying it out and it worked. I would pretend like I forgot how to change his diaper, and I'd be like, oh, does the diaper go on your head? Does it go on your foot? And he would be cracking up, or he really loves cars, so I would be making race car noises while I'm changing his diaper. And he's over the diaper thing at this point, but I still use this one a ton. Like if we're at the park, instead of just telling him, okay, it's time to go, I'll pretend like I don't know where the stroller is when it's like 10 feet away from me. And I'll just be like, oh, I don't know where it is. Can you help me find the stroller? And he loves it. He's so happy to be the one to lead me over to the stroller, and it just puts him in so much of a better mood or like a better place to leave. Or when we're here at the house, when it's time to clean up, I'll challenge him to like beat me cleaning up the Magnetiles. Or lately what he really loves is if he has like blocks out, I'll be like, okay, like let's get some points when you toss the blocks in the bin, and he'll toss it in and I'm like 2 points, and he'll toss another one and I'm like 4 points. And we just keep doing that, and I make a really big deal out of it and I turn it into a game. He loves it. This one just works so well because of what I originally said, that kids love to play. Does it work every single time? No, but I've noticed that when I'm willing to get playful with my toddler, he is way more likely to cooperate with me. Number 3 is taking a few moments to slow down and empathize with what he's feeling. This one can be tough because toddlers get so upset over things that to us are just so minuscule, and we have our own to-do list of things that we need to get done. So what do? We tell them, you're fine, it's okay, like it's not that big of a deal. My camera died, but we're back. I challenge you to take a moment to just stop and think about that. If you were really upset about something and you went to the person that you trusted most in the world and told them, and their response was like, oh my gosh, you're fine, stop it. Would you really be okay with that? Just putting myself in my toddler's shoes has helped me a lot with this, but I also have to remind myself frequently that my to-do list is not the end-all be-all. I can pause to take a few minutes to show him that I'm here for him and that I understand. So as an example, if I'm doing the dishes and he falls down and I glance over and realize like he's fine, but he's crying pretty hard, I have tried really hard to get in the habit of just stopping what I'm doing, because I can come back to the dishes in the next 5 minutes or even 10 minutes, and to just take a moment to give him a hug. And I might say something like, oh, you fell down and that kind of freaked you out, huh? And a lot of times he'll be like, yeah. And I have found over and over again that by taking a few minutes to connect with him and to validate what he's feeling, it really helps him to calm down pretty quickly. The next thing is making my yeses more plentiful and my nos more meaningful. And this actually is something that I've primarily seen other like influencers talk about, but it's really clicked and resonated with me. Ever since I first heard about this, I have caught myself and my husband so many times telling my son no and realizing semi-quickly that there's really no good reason in that moment that we're telling him no. My son has his Magnetiles, and of late he likes to build something with them, sometimes with Alex and I, and then he likes to knock it down. Over and over, Alex and I have both told him, no, don't do that. But when I take a step back, I'm like, why are we saying no? He's not throwing the tiles across the room. He's not hurting anyone. Our living room is a pretty open space, so it's not like him knocking them down is going to break something. And even if there's a small part of Alex and I that feels a little bit frustrated because maybe like we helped him build a cube or something and we feel like our work is getting destroyed, at the end of the day, it's our son's toy, it's his playtime, and if that's the game he wants to play, who really cares? The point of this, at least for me, isn't to never tell my son no. It's to turn those no's that ultimately don't make a difference to me or are maybe just a minor inconvenience to me into yeses, so that when I do say no, he's more likely to cooperate. The fifth thing is to take a breather. So we don't do timeouts, but we take breathers, and what this looks like can vary just depending on the situation. When he's building with his Magnetiles or his blocks and it keeps falling down, or whatever he's trying to do isn't working, and I've already tried helping him, I've already tried redirecting him, and he's just getting frustrated, maybe he's starting to throw them or something. That is a moment where I would say to him, let's go take a little breather, because it's a moment where I feel like we need to get away from the source of our frustration in order to regulate. Which is so valid because think about it. Have you ever been working on something that's frustrating you and thought, I just need to take a quick walk to get away from this? Or gotten into an argument with your partner and said, I need like 30 minutes before I can continue this conversation. We might just sit in our kitchen together, like 5 feet away from whatever the source of frustration is. Other times, we might need to go sit together in a completely different room, like his bedroom. Other times, if he's really upset and he's like starting to hit and kick, I'll tell him, I'm gonna put you in a safe space so you can calm down without hurting anyone, and I'll put him in his crib. When I do need to put him in his crib, I'll leave for a minute or two. Sometimes he'll stop crying, other times he won't, and if he doesn't, I'll come back in and I'll ask him like, okay, do you want a hug or do you want more space? And he will tell me. The difference between a timeout and these little breathers that we take is that this isn't about punishment. I feel like a timeout is about isolation, and this little breather break that he and I, or sometimes just he, takes is about regulation. He doesn't have to sit in any one spot for any particular amount of time. He doesn't have to be alone if he doesn't want to be. And if he is hitting and kicking and I need to put him in his crib, I try always to remember to tell him I'm placing you in a safe space, which his crib is a safe space for him. Like, he sleeps there and I'm not making it a punishment spot or anything like that. And I have just found that a lot of the time doing this helps him to calm down and regulate so that then he's in a headspace where we can talk about what happened and I can give him some options for what he can do instead when he's feeling frustrated. I feel like I'm saying calm down a lot, but that is really kind of what this is about, is like those moments where you're like, oh my gosh, just calm down, it's fine. The next thing is to give options. And this is one that I am trying to get better at because a lot of times I am just in go mode, so I don't even think about giving my son a choice until I've already made the choice for him and he's upset about it. I'll just be like, okay, he's playing, we need to have lunch, let me just warm this up, pop it in there, like, okay, here you go. What I'm trying to work on with this one is not waiting until he's already upset to give him a choice, but to give him more choices so that he doesn't get upset as often. Obviously, I'm not talking about big choices like, do you want breakfast today or do you want to go to the doctor today? Yes or no. I'm talking about small things like, do you want to wear this shirt or this shirt? Do you want eggs and bacon for breakfast or eggs and cottage cheese? Just letting him decide little things that ultimately don't matter to me, but that might matter to him. Number 7 is when nothing else is working, to just stay calm. I mean, let's be real. There have without a doubt been times that I have tried everything that I just talked about with my toddler and he's not calming down. He's still crying hysterically. And those moments can be really aggravating because it's just like, what do you want from me? But it is on me as the parent to set the temperature of the room. If my toddler is up here because he's upset about something and I'm down here and I'm starting to get upset because I'm trying all these different things and it's not working, and then suddenly I'm up here too, who's going to bring us back down to baseline? It certainly is not going to be the 2-year-old, which is why when all else fails, I just have to stay calm in this moment, and that's going to have to be enough. As the adult and as the parent, I have to be the calm in the chaos. I have to be the anchor in the storm. The last thing kind of circles back around to mindset, and that is reminding myself that if I get it wrong, I am going to have hundreds of other opportunities to get it right and to respond the way I want to. I try to give myself grace. If I need to apologize, I do. And I don't say like, I'm sorry I yelled at you, but you threw your truck. I just say, Mama's sorry for yelling at you. Like, that's not how I want to respond when I'm frustrated and you're frustrated. I bookmark things in parenting books that I like so that I can easily revisit them. And I actually do go back and revisit those things frequently. I also generally try not to premeditate arguments with other people, but if my son and I are consistently butting heads over something specific and we just aren't able to get on the same page, I absolutely will premeditate that scenario happening again and think about how I want to respond and what I want to say. And when it does happen again, I've already got something in my back pocket. Like I've already got some technique or some dialogue that I can just whip out. If you feel like a lot of these things are going to work for you and your toddler, I would seriously recommend reading or listening to the book How to Talk So Little Kids Will Listen. A lot of what I shared is just my personal take on the strategies that they share in that book. And honestly, even if you listen to this whole video and you don't think any of this will work for you, I would still recommend reading that book because there is just so much they share, so many different strategies and techniques for communicating with your child in a way that will help them to not just like cooperate, but to want to cooperate with you. And they also share a lot of research behind like why those techniques work. It is gold. If you did find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps out my channel. I hope you're having a beautiful day and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.